Okay, so this is going to be a pretty special video. And the reason why is because we're going to be talking specifically about Akajin. This lure here, you can see it has been well used. I've probably been using this lure for 2 years. As needed, I will replace the hooks and the split rings, but in general, I'm able to hold on to these lures and I do not use them. Now, this lure here was originally this color. It was the zebra with the glow on it. And I only bought this one because this is the one that seemed to work the best. But I learned that as this paint came off, it really didn't matter. So in this case, when it comes to Akajin, I'm going to say that color probably doesn't matter too much. It's more of the way that this falls through the water column and then the way that this vibes forward. Now, when I very first got into kayak fishing, I did it because of Joe Luger's Okie Gulls. And I went out with him. We spent over 12 hours on the water. He insisted that I bring vibes, which I did. And I personally caught 2 or 3 kuchinaji. By the end of that trip, I believe Joe probably had close to 20 of them. After that trip, I think that he stopped keeping as many of them because, as he said, there's just not that much meat on kuchinaji. I will say that kuchinaji actually do get fairly big, and they are fairly tasty, and I will keep them. But getting back to Akajin, this vibe is so successful because it is 40 grams. And it's 40 grams of tungsten, which means that it gets down deep. My area of greatest success with Akajin is between 20 and 60 meters. Now, this lure I can use down to around 55, 60 meters, depending on the condition. And when those conditions are right, I will make a video using this, and hopefully I will hook up onto an Akajin. Now, I'm going to flash a few pictures for you, and you can see the quantity and the variety of Akajin that I actually catch using this vibe. And not just Akajin, but all the different species. All the fish that I'm showing you were caught on vibes. And here. So what I would like to do is I am going to show you the way that I rig this lure so that I catch big fish. So here's one that is brand new in the package. You can see that this is the Daiwa More Than Real Still. This is the 40 gram tungsten. And this is actually last year's model. Daiwa did re-release these in April of this year. I thought that they were going to be discontinued completely, so I went and bought what I could, this one being one of those. The first thing that I do with these is I actually remove the split rings and hooks from them, and then this clip here. In my opinion, they are worthless, and if you keep them, you will catch fish on these. But if you get lucky and you hook into something big, your split ring is going to give out, or your hook is going to bend. It's going to straighten out, and you are going to lose that fish. And I say that confidently because of experience. I have lost big fish down at 60 meters. and I have lost big fish up at 20 meters. One, I believe, the one that straightened my hook, I believe was a Akajin. It was an Akajin that took drag from the Stella. The way that it hit and its initial pull, it felt like a Akajin. It didn't have the head shake of the Emperor or Gata species. Now, the one that I lost down at 55, 60 meters, I believe that that was either an extremely large Tamon or a Gata that was just hanging out down there. So what I'm doing is I'm taking out my split rings that I'm going to use. These are the Studio Ocean Mark OTA Garage track split rings. Specifically, they are the model number T-SR3. There's a 15 count inside of this package for 490 yen. These do have an extremely high breaking strength. They are overkill, but I would rather do that than to lose another big fish. The hooks that I'm going to use are the Owner Cultiva's Stinger Trebles ST-66 in the size 4. These are expensive. They're about, what is that, 120 yen a piece, or 105 yen a piece. They are 8 for 840 yen, and you do use 2 per vibe. So I just threw another 200 yen at this vibe in hooks. The other thing that you are going to need is the swivel. Now, for the lures, I do recommend that you use a swivel. I recommend that you use these. These are the NT fishing parts. You can see that this is 27 kilograms. Again, it is overkill, but I would prefer that. The reason that I like these is because they are so low profile, they are size 0, and they are strong. All of these, the swivel, the split ring, and the hooks, these have never failed on me using the Stella 5000. Okay, okay, so this is a Stella 5000 SW. The PE on here is going to be the Shimano EX8 2.5 Go. Has a really high breaking strength and really good knots. The reason why I ended up getting this reel was because I was getting to the point where the reel that I was using, which was a Twin Power XD and the 5000, it did not have a strong enough drag, and I was hooking into fish, and then those fish were then running into the rocks, and I would lose the fish, I would lose the lure, and I would lose the leader. Now, the most upsetting part about all of that was actually the trash. Knowing that my fault that I had let a fish hole up, and then I break off and leave leader line, a hook, and a lure attached to that fish indefinitely. And that bothered me the most. That happened 3 or 4 times within a few months, and at some point I went home and said, no more. I'm losing too much gear, and the pollution to that spot is not good. And so I went, and that is the reason why I ended up with this reel. Now, that has only happened to me one time in the last 2 years of using this reel. And when I say that that happened to me, I actually recovered everything, including the fish. And it turned out that it was a 4 kilogram Akajin that had holed up, and Everything about my setup was perfect to literally be able to pull that fish out of the rocks. I could feel the line, I could feel the fish get pulled through that rock. And as soon as I got it out of the rock, it ran again. And because this reel had so much drag, I was able to pull it out of the rocks and I was able to recover it. And that was down past 40 some meters. Linnell was actually out with me that day, and I was just so excited that I recovered that fish. So getting back to this setup, lure, hooks, split ring, swivel. The first thing that I'm gonna do is actually go ahead and put this the split ring onto the top, and I'm gonna put it in the back hole. Once that's on there, I'm gonna check it because this is fairly difficult to get this split ring inside of there. You can tell that it fits perfectly. Now you're also gonna notice that there is now a gap in between where that should be sitting flush. That is quite common, and in all honesty, I'm not bothered by it. I do not believe it has never been an issue before. So I'm gonna let that be. I'm gonna go ahead and put my swivel on. Now you can tell that the tolerances of this system are extremely tight, and I love that about this system. That just means that anything that's happening with this lure, I'm gonna feel it, okay? So that's the way that I attach the swivel, and then my 50-pound leader, my 50 to 40-pound leader will tie off directly to that. I'm now going to put the split rings on the bottom. Okay, the GoPro overheated, so I had to stop recording there for a moment. So I'm just now getting back to the rear ring. Those are on. You can see that I use the forward hole in that case. This hole that's in the back is actually too small, and the split ring will not fit into there. I'm now going to put on my hooks. Just like that. And I put that on wrong. And the reason why I put that on wrong is because this treble hook, I have two pointed down and I have one pointed up. That it tends to catch that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that off and then put it on correctly. And then I need to line it up this way, so that's correct. No, like that. And in all honesty, I'm really nervous with using these hooks because they are so incredibly sharp. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if I put this on wrong again. Just because it's so easy to do. Now, this is the other issue with these split rings being so small and actually working with them more than once. that gap there, I hope that you can see it. That one right there is too big. So it might be fine. I'm not going to chance that one. So I'm going to take that off and then redo it and then get the hooks back on. I am going to stop recording because obviously this video is getting lengthier than I would like. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so this is the finished setup. You can see that I have both hooks here with those elongated Studio Ocean Mark split rings and then the swivel up top. And this setup right here has yet to fail me, knock on wood. Now, for the fun of it, I'm gonna do a pulling test. Now, as I was letting the camera cool off again, I went ahead and took the stock hook and ring, and then I went ahead and took the upgraded hook and ring, and then I attached it to a solid split ring there in the middle, just to prove that this setup here is a whole lot stronger than this one here. So I'm just gonna start pulling, and hopefully I don't hook myself and hurt myself. And actually, I am going to double this one up, just to prove. So this is like if the fish had 2 hooks in the mouth, and then this one just has 1. So I'm gonna pull, and I'm hoping that I am not going to hook myself, and if I do, then hopefully it'll make a funny video. So you can see that the first thing that's going to give is actually going to be the split ring, and it broke. So that is why I replaced those, because that happens. It has happened, and when it happens, it's devastating because you know that that was a really, really good fish. Thank you for watching. Any questions? Please do let me know.